What's good, Ohio Cannabis Report family? It's your boy Gerald Moore Jr. back with another episode. And today, obviously, it's a lot going on. We just got word that uh, Trump is expected to sign an executive order to reclassify marijuana as soon as Monday. Sources tell CNBC, and pot stocks surge. So I'm going to go over a few articles just to break down what's been going on in this space. I hope everybody's having a great Saturday. I hope your weekend started off right. Hope you had a good week. It's a lot going on, I know, but you got to pay attention. You got to understand. You got to see what's going on with smoke and mirrors. You also got to understand what's happening locally at your state level. That's why we focus on Ohio specifically when it comes to cannabis. We'll talk about some things other states are doing, which I just saw a photo from Wanda James, who is a cannabis entrepreneur, African American woman. She's also in politics in Colorado, and she's one of the first owners of a dispensary out there. And they also, Colorado, I didn't realize Colorado's cannabis movement was also a regulate cannabis like alcohol. So that was pretty interesting to see. And I think they've been doing it since 2012. So I'm definitely got to do my research. And I'm going to reach out to Wanda. I actually know one of her business partners. And so I'm going to reach out to them and see if I can get them on the show. Just to, see what's going on in other states too, right? What's working for other states, what's not working for other states. Obviously, Ohio has this thing where they try to reinvent the wheel. I guess we got Goodyear here, so but you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can see, as citizens, we can see what worked for other states, what's working for other cities, municipalities, and we can, try to mimic that here in the state of Ohio. So before I get too deep into it, into the weeds, just a disclaimer. This is for educational, entertainment purposes only, news purposes only. I am not a lawyer. I am not affiliated with any of the legal cannabis entities yet. We are not sponsored or in partnership or collaboration with any of those entities. We are just here for news, to share the information with you guys. And so with that, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Ohio Cannabis Report. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube. Follow us on all other social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Substack. I have a Substack, working on a Patreon. And so also I'm always looking for different people to interview. So if you're somebody that's in the cannabis space, we want to share your story, whether you're a worker in the industry, whether you are somebody that's a home grower. And we don't have to do video either. You know what I mean? So if you just want to do voice, we can do all those things. We do have a podcast as well. So check out our podcast on wherever you get your podcast. And so we like to feature different people, entrepreneurs, people in policy, business, whatever. If you have a story to tell, if you're a cannabis patient, if you're an athlete, I'm a former athlete. So that's why I don't really mind being public about my cannabis consumption, because again, people can watch you and cheer you on or talk shit about you while you're playing a sport that 99% of the world can't play. So if I can do that on cannabis, why can't I share my story publicly via social media? So that's why we started Ohio Cannabis Report, was to really, educate people on what's going on in the state, what's going on culturally, right? Cannabis is a more cultural thing, right? And I think right now, obviously, is being capitalized on by a bunch of people in suits that are just throwing money at it, but they don't necessarily understand the culture, right? You got a lot of people selling weed that don't smoke weed, right? And I know it's the term, don't consume your own product, but I could tell y'all from somebody that is a home grower, I smoke my own weed. So yeah, we're gonna break down what's going on. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys real quick. Also, I think we're up to like 160 subs on here on YouTube. So thanks to everybody that's subscribed to our YouTube. Please like, comment, share it all. You know what I mean? If you don't like the comment, if I could do better, if you could help out, whatever, I don't care. Just engage with us. Let me see. All right, so I'm gonna go over this first article that I saw. There we go. All right, so this is out of CNBC. Trump expected to sign executive order to reclassify marijuana as soon as Monday, sources tell CNBC. And pot stocks surge. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and let the
cannabis stocks like Tilray, Aurora, and the Advisor Shares ETF are all soaring on these reports that the president will move to reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous drug. Our Brandon Gomez has been covering the story for what feels like forever and has more on the timing of this news. Hey, Brandon.
Hey, Carl. Yeah, that's right. I feel like we've been here before, right? But with the president wanting to reschedule the drug to a new classification. Now, it is currently scheduled as Schedule 1. Now, that's on par with heroin. Down to Schedule 3 is what the president wants to do, the same as Tylenol with codeine. So why is this time different? Well, sources have told me that the president is actively drafting an executive order to be issued as soon as Monday. Now, it would advise the DOJ and the DEA to move forward with reclassification. The White House so far saying no final decision has been made yet. Now, I did speak this morning, though, with Tilray CEO Irwin Simon, one of the largest cannabis growers in the industry. He believed this time is different from past promises, telling me after many false starts, he is, quote, more optimistic this time around, adding he believes there will be change by the end of the year. Now, Carl, let's say we do get the executive order on Monday. What's next? Well, the DOJ and the DEA will publish a final rule. It'll then enter a 30-day waiting period for any challenges. We did just get a hemp ban in the government spending bill, so we know opposition is out there. And then any litigation would result in further delay of the process. So as it goes with cannabis, and as you mentioned off the top, 2 steps forward, possible 4 steps back. One cannabis lawyer, though, telling me that this is the beginning of a, quote, new era of public health policy, but that this would be a partial victory with legalization and regulatory hurdles still ahead. Still, major implications for health regulators, retailers, investors, banks, of course, and the like, as we always discuss when we get these cannabis headlines.
That was my question, Brandon, is what would a reclassification of the drug into a less sort of serious drug actually mean for the problems with, cannabis in this country, legalization, banking with these companies, all of the legitimization? How big of a step is this toward that?
Yeah, so the most important thing to note is that this is not legalization. This is reclassification. The biggest thing that it does is it opens up the door to medical research. I've been told, too, that Secretary RFK Jr. is a supporter of this when it comes to medical applications. You see how it's used in Europe, and the demand that's been there is also a point that the Tilray CEO brings up with me. So really, that's the avenue that they're trying to go here, is to amplify the medical use. And then long term, right, the hope from the industry is that we do get a broader legalization at the federal level that will then open up the floodgates to more recreational use products that we've also talked about, especially when it comes to that hemp ban.
So yeah, I heard it. We don't want rescheduling to Schedule 3, right? We want complete descheduling, right? It shouldn't be scheduled, right? Because that's how they control it, right? And you see them, what they did immediately is went to the big businesses and their stocks, right? Their stocks improved, right? Medical applications, right? We know it's medicinal, but also it's recreational, right? Like I use cannabis daily because I deal with chronic pain. You know what I mean? Like I'm somebody that, again, that's why storytelling is important. That's why understanding your testimony is important, right? Like a lot of athletes, we don't talk about the pain part, right? We don't talk about getting old. And yeah, we talk about the glory days, right? When it was fun, we were at our athletic peak, which again, you should. But as you get older, as you age, like your body is aging and your body starts to hurt. And so what are people doing? We see drug commercials all the time with former pro athletes or service providers. Hey, I'm so-and-so Hall of Fame MLB player, and I take QC Kinetics, to help me with my pain. And okay, I'm a former Division I All-American football player. Tried out for the NFL. I deal with chronic pain. I deal with arthritis. I deal with, PTSD a lot, especially football. Like football is a very violent sport. So it's very traumatizing on top of life trauma, the physical trauma, the emotional trauma, pushing through a lot of difficult experiences and shit like that just to perform. And so a lot of times athletes, we may not have all the emotional awareness or the ability to put things into context. But I think, as citizens, as people that consume the plant, You know, I look at myself as a normal person. You know what I mean? I just so happen to be really good at sports. Been able to try out for the NFL, been able to do certain things. Got my degree in healthcare administration. So I studied healthcare, the healthcare industry, more so not from like the health side of it, right? But more so from the business side. I studied healthcare administration and business. So marketing, advertising, accounting, how to run an operation, right? The administrative side of things, insurance. And so when you look at cannabis, we should be able to use our insurance, right? Like I have insurance. I should be able to use my insurance to go get my weed, especially if it's a medical product, right? So there's a lot of issues, you know, outside of just consuming that I think people have to understand uh, what's going on in this space and how serious it is, you know, and why your voice matters, right? And I understand people don't want to say anything because maybe, you know, afraid of parents or family members or society, work. But it's 2025. If you're still afraid of what people think of you, you are living in a sad space. And I'll pray for you because, especially with everything going on in society, especially with all these platforms and the ability to share your story out to the world, where you can realize that there are other people that are living similar experiences to you, right? And so that's where the power comes, right? The power is not in being affiliated with Ohio State University just because the football team's good. No, the power is in your individual liberties. You know what I mean? And if the only thing in the state of Ohio that gets you excited is a sports team winning, but the healthcare is terrible, the economics is terrible, you're not being paid enough, the roads are terrible, there's a lack of entertainment outside of the sports stuff, like there's a lack of investment in affordable housing, education, you know, like, and then you have cannabis that could be tourism, hotels, right? You can have separate spaces. Like it's entrepreneurship, right? So if you're creative in the cannabis space, you should be using that creative hat to let's create more spaces for cannabis consumers, right? If you're a private business owner, you can purchase some land and build, you know, a resort, a cannabis resort. You can build a farm, right, where you have cannabis and your people can just like they do the wine orchard, right? Like you go out to a wine spot and you can go walk along the wine and see how the wine is made, right? Why aren't we doing that with cannabis, right? There should be spaces where you can go. It's a farm. You got, you know, bed and breakfast, you know, high quality craft cannabis. You know what I mean? You can see the process of the buds. You can have different forms of the bud, right? You have lotions, you have massage therapy. Like, it could be a whole shit. And if somebody use my shit and they don't, you know, break me off something, I'm gonna be hot because when I see it going, I'm gonna refer back to this live. Especially if it's in Ohio, you know what I mean? But it's a lot of shit like that. Like you go to Hawking Hills, right? They have these log cabins, right? You can have an exclusive, hey, cannabis friendly log cabin. And then when you show up to the log cabin, yo, as part of the package, you got just a plethora of bud that you could choose. It's shit like that people gotta. That's where I'm at with it. You know what I mean? I'm way beyond the, you know, just rigmarole of the bullshit, like having to be behind the scenes, having to do everything low key. If people could be online with alcohol fucked up, I could be online with my weed chilling, right? Like, because I remember when I used to be drinking heavy, right? Back in my college days, college was really the only time I was drinking like that. College, we was lit. Now, you see the school I went to. If you don't know, you should probably look it up. Because my senior year, we were the #1 party school in the fucking country. It was top 5 the whole time I was there. But #1 from the Harvard Review or the Harvard Report, we was #1. And I stake claim to that because not only did we party, we balled the fuck out in football. We cracked the top 25, and I know everybody's Ohio State fans here, but fuck that. I went to the first university of the state, bitch. But we balled the fuck out, and we partied hard. But that was, you realize like, hey, this alcohol shit, especially when you young, you can handle it a little bit better. Now that I'm old, I got 1 drink, 2 drinks in me, and I'm done, bro. Like, when the last time I went to the bar? When's the last time I had more than 2 drinks? It's been a minute. But, because I'm at the point in my life too where it's just like, why? Why am I automatically going? Why am I going to go to something that I know I'm going to have a headache? Or I'm going to be around a bunch of people that just don't give a fuck about it. They just trying to drink their sorrows away. And my life is pretty good. My sorrows, hey, I smoke because I'm Gucci. But no, it's just insane to me. So I think people just got to be more vocal. Like, I feel like once we got out of COVID, like we haven't recovered after COVID. Like, people are still very much shock, I would say. There's a lot of wild shit happened during COVID, but I feel like people haven't necessarily quite crawled out of the COVID, thing. You know what I mean? It's still like people are waiting for somebody to tell you or show you what to do. You know what I mean? Like COVID, what happened? We went through COVID and motherfuckers was like, oh, like I was cool with COVID. I was like, I stay away, 6 feet away. Again, my degree's in healthcare, so I understood. Vaccines, I have a great immune system. So I'm not taking no shots. Like, why would I take shots? Some random shit. Like, I get the flu and all of that shit. I haven't taken the flu shot in 10 years. You know what I mean? Teas, herbal remedies, weed, vegetables. Take care of your immune system and you won't need all of that bullshit. And I'm not an anti-vaxxer. Like, you get some of that shit that is like they getting the measles and shit. Nah, we ain't doing none of that. Like, they having measles outbreaks. Nah, but the COVID shit is like the respiratory. So yeah, if you have a weak respiratory system, it's gonna fuck you up. Like if you have pre-existing conditions, it's gonna fuck you up. But for me, weed became essential during COVID. Y'all remember that? And we didn't make a big deal of it. Weed became an essential in Ohio, at least. It went from being illegal, then we were like 6 years ago, right? Then we had medical. Once the medical program became legal, then we had COVID. And then cannabis businesses became essential businesses. And then studies came out that said, oh, cannabis consumers, because cannabis helps with your respiratory, it helps with your lungs, right? Expansion of your lungs. I used to have asthma. I don't have asthma anymore. It was sports induced, but I started smoking weed and I'm like, shit, I could run. I could train. I'm not needing my inhaler anymore. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people just get blindsided by a lot of different things and don't really be paying attention. But I paid attention to that. Like an essential service during a pandemic when it was just illegal. Okay. There's something here. And it's a medical. You know what I mean? So I think people gotta. Oh, my bad. I've been missing out in the comments and shit. My bad, y'all. Who I got tapped into me. Pipestone 67 in non-legal states, they'll have to get a prescription. This essentially frees up the money and allows tax write-offs that aren't available now. I feel like they are just dangling the carrot in our face. And again, these people aren't our leaders. We got to stop thinking the politicians are our leaders. They are servants. They are public servants. So you should act like your fucking boss treats you on your fucking job, right? Oh, you not working in a timely manner. Oh, why are you calling off today? Why are you late? Right? Because guess what? You work, you pay taxes. Your taxes pay for these politicians. So stop treating the fucking politicians like they're the leaders and like what they do and say is law. It's not. It's not. Especially here in Ohio, it's some weird shit. Like y'all be treating these politicians like they're fucking God. Fuck them. If they're not working for you, fuck them. This whole political correctness, this whole like, you're not a politician. So why the fuck are you playing their games? They work for you. Why are people mad about Trump? Because Trump is only working for the top 1%. So now you had a bunch of poor people in rural Ohio with Trump signs aligning fucking 270, and you're about to lose your farm. You're owed over 40 billion. They're gonna give you 12 billion, and you lost money. China don't want your products no more. But you get what you get, and you don't throw a fucking fit. I've been working in rural Ohio for the last 6 years. Poor, destitute Ohio, Springfield, Ohio, like during this whole time, and you're like, what the fuck are y'all mad? I mean, y'all should be mad, but y'all mad at the wrong people. Ain't no way you should be mad at me. You don't like me. You don't like my kind. No, it's your kind that's fucking you up. Your kind don't like you, and they don't want you next to them. Because I was like being in Ohio, seeing a bunch of poor white folks. That's crazy. And then like the type of words and shit that comes out, like, what are you talking about? I grew up in Washington, D.C., right up across, like I could go to the White House all the time. I went to an elite private school. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't your problem. Trust me. I am not your enemy. And I don't want to be. You know what I mean? Because my life is too good. I got too much good shit going on. I got too many creative ideas. Stress over that? Give myself a heart issue? Give myself stress because you hating on me? No, I would rather work together. But if you don't want to work together, then that's on you. But Ohio is it's a mixed bag, man. Like, I've been all around the state, all around Central Ohio, and the politics, the business practices, just the lack of humanity, really. I mean, it's a very fake world out here. Like, everybody's so corporate, and it's like, it's you know what I mean? It's like, especially as a black person that's been in a lot of spaces, like I could tell fake. You know what I mean? Because it's like I can't be fake. You know what I mean? Like every space that I go into, I have to be myself, because if I'm a nonprofit president, I am a nonprofit president, but I'm in these spaces, so like I can't. Who else am I gonna be? And I'm speaking for people that look like me, that come from communities like me, that are poor, working class. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a snob. Like, I don't come from money. You know what I mean? So being around people with money, and you see like, oh, like you're here because your dad is so and so, your grandfather and so, you got a plug over it. Like, I'm here off of the strength. Like, my dad ain't get me in this bitch. Like, my dad laid a hell of a foundation. But when you see shit like this, you can't perform for me. You can't get me in the space. You know what I mean? And so a lot of people got to understand, like, a lot of these pretentious, wealthy individuals, it is a very close circle. And when you are a successful athlete, you are able to break into all types of rooms. You get pulled into all types of rooms. You get put on pedestals. You get celebrated. You get things for free, right? You get opportunities. You get people wanting to connect with you, especially once you start to understand the political world, right? People want you to be in their commercials. They want your perspective. They want, your endorsement, right? And so I've been in these spaces for the last decade, really, in terms of like heavy on like the political side of stuff. But that's why I started the independent media route, though, because it's a lot of bullshit in politics, right? So again, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. It's a lot of marketing and advertising propaganda, right? We're going to take pictures with so-and-so just so it establishes who we are, right? Just like a brand, right? The bigger you want, the bigger brand you get, right? If you're associated with Nike, people are going to associate you as having more wealth or more power or more influence. And so that is used in politics on the state level, at the city level, the county level, obviously at the federal level, right? And so people have to understand, like, stop getting tricked by the fucking propaganda. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, it's humanity. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, like, you have to understand, like, there's an agenda. And usually it's a very capitalistic agenda, right? And so again, if everybody about the money, If you're poor, what is a billionaire going to do for you? Think about that. Trump gave $1 trillion tax cuts and benefits to the ultra wealthy. What tax cuts did the poor people get? Inflated gas prices, inflated grocery prices, record profits, layoffs, artificial intelligence, removing people out of jobs, layoffs. Come on, man. Data centers and communities that now are their utilities is going up, and then they're saying, oh, these states are bringing in these data centers and it's good for jobs and economic development. No, the fuck it's not. They are bringing outside contractors in to construct these places because, one, a lot of these states don't have the workers. The unions aren't good. These aren't union jobs. It's outside jobs, outside corporations coming in, doing the work, building the facility. One, because they have the experience, because they've been building them all over the country, all over the world. And so then once the construction part is done, you don't need a bunch of people running those facilities. There's a bunch of computers. You know, you have a few people that are wires, HVAC technicians and stuff like that. So people have to really pay attention. And obviously it's tech. It's all aligned to this, right? Clouds. When you hear cloud, that is a hard drive somewhere. It's not just fucking up in the air somewhere. It's in a database, in a system somewhere. You know what I mean? So we have to understand, like, we need this stuff for sure if we're going to be tech, but we also need sustainable practices, right? We don't need them coming into cities and communities that have built these water infrastructures, and then our water bills go up, our electricity bills go up, our environments, because these places are polluting. You know what I mean? Like, they are using gas. So we have to, you know, and the way they're building them is crazy. But if you I can't do anything. Oh, I'm just one person. I'm like, all right, when's the last time you talked to your state representative? When's the last time you called them? When's the last time you emailed them? Do you even know who the fuck they are? Most times your city council can't really do shit. I'm telling people, go straight to the state. The state is fucking people. Raw dog in the ass. And sorry if anybody, like, but you have to be very verbal. Like, the state of Ohio, if you are not rich, if you are not highly educated in the state of Ohio, you have people that are working really hard, truckers, you know, HVAC technicians and shit like that. You have people making six figures, but what happens when you make six figures as a W-2 employee? 40% of that income goes to taxes. Again, you're paying more in taxes than the rich people are, than the billionaires and than millionaires and billionaires, right? And so when you make six figures, everybody's like, oh, I'm making six figures. Yeah, now you can go get a nice car, you can go buy a nice house, get a good mortgage. But guess what? All of your money goes to that mortgage, insurance. I mean, taxes first, right? So taxes is coming out, federal, state, local tax. Then you got property taxes. So most people are losing all of that money. And so what you got left over? And then you got children, you got a family, right? And then expenses are increasing. So you got more, you're paying more for groceries. You're paying more for clothing, right? Because those business owners aren't going to eat, right? When we talk about the tariffs, they're not going to eat that money. They're going to pass it on to you, the consumer, because they can, and you're going to do it. And if you don't do it, the system changes, but too many people are still doing it, right? You can go to the mall right now. You can go to Amazon right now. People are buying a bunch of shit. You know what I mean? People are still spending. If you look at the fucking rates, people are still fucking spending. Credit is getting higher and higher and higher because, again, that's what America's built on. Credit, inflation, print, right? Turn the printers on. But again, the problem is you have people that don't know how the game works, though, right? They keep printing money, but they're not actually saving or stockpiling or buying assets. People are more so buying depreciating assets. So I go buy a car. All right, you make six figures. Oh, I'm gonna go buy me a brand new car, $250, $350, $400 a month car payment on top of insurance. Right. So you look good driving around a nice car, but that $400 is coming out of that check. God forbid you get in a car accident. God forbid you need maintenance on that nice car. God forbid inflation keeps happening. your salary ain't increasing every 6 months. You know what I mean? You got to sign a new contract. And guess what? A lot of times people will start making so much money. By the time you want to leave that company, nobody else will hire you at the same rate. So that's why a lot of people be stuck, because you don't work your way up. And now either you go up to upper management, but you're not going to be able to become a CEO executive of the company. They're not giving you stock in the company. So then you want to leave because you overworked, underpaid. You want to go to this company, and most people are not going to pay you what you was making over there. So a lot of people get stuck. That's why you got to be an entrepreneur in America. You got to be. Even if you got a full-time job, you better start hustling. You better buy some real estate. You better, start an online business. You better start a cleaning service. You better start a lawn care service. You do hair, you do nails, makeup, you do you got to do something. You know what I mean? Weed, right? Now, and that's why cannabis is people have been selling cannabis, but again, it's still illegal, but people don't know words. You can donate weed. This is a donation. I accept donations. What's the difference? Right? I'm not selling anything. I offered it. They gave me a donation. If I give somebody, a little bit of weed and there's really good weed, or I give them a tincture, or I give them a rub, or I give them an edible, and they want to pay me over the price, just like I can go get a haircut and I can tip my barber $20, $30, $40. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Yeah, so it's words, right? It's wordplay. So a lot of people got to understand that too. The system, the game that is set up, in America, it's all tricks, right? It's words, it's spells. But also the law, the bills, right? One of the articles, I'll go over it. One of the articles said, oh, these bills are just meant to establish guidelines. So when police officers come into, some of these issues, they will have some guidelines. Well, no, what's going to happen, right? If I have weed in, let's say, the community that I live in, that I pay a good mortgage in, that my kids go to school in, I'm pretty well known in the community, and I got my bowl rings on and my car is nice and everything's working, I'm going to get off, because I always do. Now, let's take the same scenario. I don't have the ball rings. I don't have my credentials. People don't know who I am. I'm in a city. I get pulled over, broken tail light. I didn't use my turn signal. Didn't stop, speeding. Just finished smoking. Just finished hotboxing. I got, instead of having a container like this from a dispensary, I got a container like this. I get pulled over, roll down the window. What's wrong, cop? You were speeding, tail lights out, didn't use your turn signal, didn't stop. Now you smell me. Oh, probable cause. Now get out the car. We're going to search the car. That's how they trip people up. Fines, multiple fines, then jail time, right? And so we want decriminalization, right? We don't want people being criminalized for using a plant at all. I don't care what it is. You know what I mean? Because again, just like we're not criminalizing people for pain pills, Tylenol, right? We had the whole opioid epidemic here in Ohio that went crazy. Why aren't we helping people get off of opioids, get off of alcohol, and transition into something more milder like a cannabis, right? CBD, CBN, CBG, right? We got to think about this. Why aren't we educating our doctors at the highest level, right? Why aren't our doctors educating the people? Oh, well, what we learned, a lot of the doctors, they don't want to get their licenses revoked. So what is it about? It's about the money, right? What are you willing to stand for? That's why I rock with Dr. Bridget. Shout out to Dr. Bridget. She's one of the few doctors here in the state of Ohio. She's also in Michigan that has stood on business when it comes to cannabis. And she is the author of Courage in Cannabis. Make sure y'all check that out. I'm an author in there. And basically, it's a bunch of different people. It's a bunch of people sharing their cannabis stories. So on Amazon, hit me up. I could give you one. Not give you one, but $20. If you want to give a donation, $25, $30. I'll sign it, write a message in it. But Stuff like this, man. Sharing your story in book form, it really helps people. The forward in this book was by Adam Wilkes, who's the CEO, Tyson 2.0. Also got a quote from Mike Tyson, heavyweight champion. But yeah, stuff like that, man, that people gotta, get out your comfort zones, man. Get some of these. What's good, Kevin B? Thanks for everybody tapping in too, man, on the YouTube. I got some people on the TikTok as well. This time is different. Shaking my head. No, it's not different. Cannabis is the least dangerous drug in existence, if you even want to call it a drug, right? And that's the thing too. It's not even a drug, right? It's a plant. It's a herb. A couple of weeks, right? They kind of needed to ban the so-called intoxicating hemp in order to move forward. You can't regulate the same thing two different ways. True. Descheduling. Yes, descheduling all the way. Yes, rescheduling is no good, but you had to know they were going to total control no matter what. Of course. But that's, again, why we as citizens, why we keep just putting it on them. They work for us, right? Even if you're a Democrat, the Republicans are still working for you. The problem is a lot of people, these people aren't. No, email them. Email your congressperson. Email them in a way where it don't even have to be, I'm your constituent. This is what I want. This is what I need. I don't give a fuck that you're a Republican or Democrat, because at this point, it doesn't fucking matter. What matters is you serving all of your constituents. And the problem is people don't actually go talk to these people. The people that do talk to them, they win. That's what I'm telling you. Like, if you reach out to these people, they have to serve you. If you hold them accountable, it doesn't matter who you are, poor white, poor black. You know what I mean? But I'm not political. Yeah, the fuck you are. You pay taxes. You use roads. You know what I mean? Like, you use public services. Your kids go to public school. You live in a house that's using public utilities. The electrical grid, public. So it's just this disconnection that people are like, oh, Trump's not my president. Yeah, the fuck he is. But does that mean he can't? If you want more money, wouldn't you? All right. Shit. If anything, you should be trying to get on the Trump train and seeing if you could get a few dollars. Start making some Trump hats. Trump Make America Great big hats again from China. You know what I mean? Like, and start selling them shits. I thought about that shit actually too. Like, that's how wild this shit is, bro. Like, people don't beat that. It's America's a crazy place. Trump Make America hat greats from China, bro. American flags from China and sell them shits. FDA is never gonna approve smoking a plant. Yeah, again, people gotta understand, like, who works for the government, right? There are other human beings that are working for the government. Just like you and I are regular people, like, these are people that have a job and they're not doing their job right. My parents used to work for the federal government. So I know. And I never knew what my parents did. Never, because it was government work, right? But I knew my mom worked for NASA. I knew she was a lawyer. She did equal employment opportunity cases. My dad was a computer database person, right? Computer engineer. So he was Homeland Security. You know what I mean? Fighting fucking cybersecurity or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, no big pharma is gonna turn into poison somehow. Yeah, make pills. Yeah. Well, they're already doing it, right? You look at Trulieve, you look at a lot of these big companies, and then they're remediating the weed, right? So there's stuff in the weed that people don't know. They're putting it through these processes that people don't know, and it's not on the packaging. Hey, this was remediated. Already had that idea. Hey, we could do it together. Right state. Oh, how's that? I haven't drank in 8 years. Shout out to you. Now, what was done is wrong. Facts. Haiti, Ohio. Facts. We have far more in common than that. Yeah, I mean, just our humanity alone, right? By biology. I mean, if skin complexion is the thing that fucks you up, like that's the thing about racism. Like, and unfortunately, man, having success as an athlete, it desensitizes you a little bit to a lot of things, and it removes you and puts you on such a pedestal that when like racism, like it don't even become a thing because it's like, yo, like white people are serving me. Right? Like once I became a really good athlete in private school, and it's like, oh, like what? The benefits of being a good athlete? Oh shit. Like people open the door. Can I help you? Can I go get something for you? How can I be of service to you? Because you are really good at this sport and you're going places in life because not only good at sports, but you look good, you can talk well, you can connect with different people, you're good with children, like you're good with like. So then when you come down to a place like Springfield, Ohio, or one of these like communities, and it's like I wasn't a big enough like I'm not Braxton Miller, I'm not Terrell Pryor, I'm not fucking Troy Smith, you know what I mean? Like, so for me, I get to move around where people don't really know me. You know what I mean? Because like I'm not a superstar, and I like it that way. Even though like I'm married to somebody who's a public figure and people know her, but I don't put that shit out there like that because that's her. You know what I mean? Like that's my wife. We're married. We have our own private thing. Like I do my own shit. She got her shit professionally, right? But when I'm out in public, especially in Ohio, like I don't really walk around like, oh yeah, this is who I am. Like this is what I've done. Like no, I just especially after I got cut from the NFL, I really went cold turkey and just faded away. I moved to Zanesville, where my wife is from. And so, Zanesville, I'm like, shit, Zanesville was a culture shock at post Athens. And I was like, man, and I was coming to Zanesville the whole time I was dating my girl. And so I was seeing it, but you don't really, I come on the weekends or something, you know what I mean? So you don't really get to live there. But once I lived there and I started to see how the people was living there, and I was like, because I didn't know. I mean, Zanesville's Appalachia too. So then we moved up to Columbus, and then we lived in Columbus. Well, we lived in Grandview, so it wasn't Columbus. And then I was moving around Columbus, and I was like, this is different. Then we moved to Upper Arlington. I was like, this is different. Then we moved to Columbus, like North Columbus, but it was like Dublin, so it wasn't all the way in Columbus. So I was like, this is different. And I was making moves in Columbus though, and I'm like, yo, inner city Columbus versus outer skirts, Upper Arlington, Grandview, North, Dublin. I'm like, oh shit. But then I'm like, the people here are like, oh, then the people are like, well, why would you live in Upper Arlington? I was like, well, shit, we wasn't Upper Arlington proper. Like we was renting on the border of Upper Arlington, Columbus, Ohio State. But if I turn this way, it's old Upper Arlington. And if I walk far enough back, you around some mansions and shit, multi-million-dollar homes. And so which way you gonna walk? You know what I mean? I walk all the way around. Like, and so I'm like, I'm not from here. I didn't know. I told my wife to pick a fucking place to live that she felt comfortable. I'm from the hood, like the trenches originally. Like my parents moved me to the suburbs, but I'm gonna get it where I get it. You pick where you feel most safe and comfortable. That's what I told my wife. And then we moved up Arlington. I was like, well, shit, I don't feel safe. Because it got to a point once the whole Trump shit, the whole Black Lives Matter, I was like, shit, I am not safe here. Because we were the 1%. I'm the one black person here that sticks out like a sore thumb. Young, black. And we ain't got bread like that. So I'm not about to deal with these microaggressions, this Trump shit from these rich people. And they want me to train their sons and daughters. One of my clients was like 15 and he was a Trump fan. And I'm like, you little rich bastard. You can't even vote. What the fuck your mom, and again, it's upbringing, right? I trained his mom. I didn't train the dad. I trained the mom. him and his sister. He had an older or younger sister. She is a hooper, so I trained her for basketball. He was a wrestler, training him for wrestling. And this is Upper Arlington. They grown now. I think he ended up going to Indiana for wrestling. I don't know what he's doing now. And then the girl, she ended up playing basketball at like a D2, something like that. And the daughter was real cool. Her name was and they were like polar opposites. You know what I mean? Like she's playing basketball. Like I look at her, they both got TikToks because I'm connected to them because I'm coached them. So her TikToks is full of like black girl hoopers doing, dances to hip hop music. And he's a Trump fan. Yeah, I'm like, this got to be crazy at home. And the mom, she was an executive at like a gun manufacturer or some shit. You know what I mean? But it was like I was in there training these people, coaching them, their sons and daughters, and I'm like, oh, this shit is crazy over here. I can't be over here. The fuck? Y'all not about to have me lynched one day. Some random shit. You know what I mean? Or try to assassinate my character. They tried to say I was anti-Semitic one time because I drove over to Bexley and was like, this is Jewish money over here. And they took a screenshot and said, this is anti-Semitic. I said, bitch, when in America has talking about money ever been a wrong thing? I don't even know what anti-Semitic means. Like I was like, and so it was at that point where I was like, fuck all of y'all. Cause this shit is crazy. Y'all doing the weirdest, wildest shit, but I'm anti. Yeah, bitch, I'm poor. That's what I am. I'm broke. My white privilege card got lost in the mail. People got to use that shit. People don't know how to use that. That's the problem with a lot of Ohioans. Y'all don't know how to use y'all white privilege. Y'all be mad and shit and don't even use it. Fuck you mad for? Use your fucking card. Fuck this shit, man. I'm tired of this. You're not going to get arrested. You know what I mean? It's shit y'all could do. Y'all can go disrupt meetings and shit. Political meetings. They ain't about to do shit to y'all. Y'all cuss out the police. Fuck that, man. Trust me, I got way more than enough white friends to know how the power y'all got. And some of y'all just be on bullshit. And that's really the problem. The problem is some of y'all cousins, y'all moms, y'all dads, y'all grandma, y'all grandpas is hella racist. And y'all don't want to confront them because your lives depend on it. Because your lives are subsidized by your mom and your dad. If you having a hard time, you could reach out to your mom and your dad and get a check, get your credit card paid off, get your insurance bill paid for, get your phone bill paid for, get that first and last month's rent paid for. You get to go home and your mom is gonna wash your fucking drawers. And so a lot of y'all, I'm progressive. No the fuck, I'm living. No the fuck you're not. No, you're not. Because if you're not willing to take a stand against the people that you love for what you know is right, because right is right, wrong is wrong. Just because you don't want to confront it right now, just because you don't have the words or the courage, give me a second, I gotta. My bad. Duty calls. When the wife calls, you answer. It's like, nah, let's see. There's some fake news here in Ohio, but I feel like compared to other states, Ohioans coexist and get along. Ohioans get along in a very like fake way. It's not. I'm not saying all people. Ohio is very broken up, right? We're very gerrymandered. So a lot of our community is our politics. I would say a lot of people have similar values, right? I would say even the conservative shit, like people are more conservative, like politically, people are conservative fiscally, right? So billionaires are fiscally conservative. But then you have poor people that would say, well, I'm conservative, but then they wow in real life. Then you have the politicians, they're conservatives, but they're wild in real life. They have orgies and all types of wild shit. You know what I mean? So it's a weird, like, so America, like, yeah, people will work together, you know, working class folks, because people realize, like, oh, we do have a lot in common. He's a hard worker, I'm a hard worker. You know, a lot of the stories that have been told about black people being lazy, if we lazy, why would they want us to be slaves? That would make no sense. Why would they want us to be the workers? Why are we, you know, you look at sports, you look at Ohio State football, 60%, 70% of that team is black. I'm sure they're working hard as fuck. I'm sure their parents worked hard as fuck to get them to that level. Whether the dad had to be a truck driver, mommy had to work 2, 3, 4 jobs. So where is this propaganda that black people don't work hard? Because I live next to some white folks that I ain't never seen leave their house outside, like for work. I ain't seen them not leave in the ambulance or a Uber and then come back like with something or get the food dropped off. Like, so this whole idea that black people are lazy, black people just want handouts, black people just want to use the government. Well, I mean, population wise, if they say we only make up 13% of the population, we can't be using all the government benefits. Elon Musk is using government benefits. Like, let's keep it 100. You know what I mean? So I think, yes, people can get along, but unfortunately, when it comes down to the privileges that some people have, it's like, yeah, you can vote for something, and to you, it may not seem like a bad situation or a harmful situation because you're white. You know what I mean? And there's black people that vote for Trump too. So it's like, but it's like when you look at the type of black person that'll vote for Trump, I knew Trump was going to win because I knew it was more popular. You know what I mean? I knew it wasn't about the policies, what he was going to do. I know the rich people were going to make it. I'm making more money under Trump. You know what I mean? Like, once you learn how money works, once you learn how the game and the system works, it really don't matter who in office once you learn the game. That's why a lot of these wealthy people, they be flip-flopping, right? You look at these Jeffrey Epstein pictures, he got pictures with Republicans and Democrats. Because once it come down to the money, they don't give a fuck. Money and power, they don't give a fuck. That red blue shit, they be flip-flopping every other 3-6 months. And they be homies. They be going out to dinner, going out to eat, laughing and joking and shit. And it's the people that are the bottom feeders that could run all this shit. Oh, well, the politicians aren't doing it. The CEO of your company, whoever writes your check, is pimping you. And you're afraid of him. It's not a black person. It's not the Haitians. It's not the immigrants. America is a country where you could start a company with $100. And if you're white, you can go to a local bank. You could probably do a Facebook post and say, hey, I'm starting this business. I'm looking for my first investors. Because when you get into business, the first thing they tell you is to go to your family and friends to get your first investment. So go to your mom, go to your dad. Hey, I'm starting this business. You know, we're raising $10,000. We're raising $5,000. So then you get 5,000 from your mom, you get 5,000 from your dad, you get 10,000 from your grandfather, you get 20,000 from your grandma. Your homie want to come in. Now you got 60,000. So now you go to a local community bank and you put 60 grand into a business account. And then you tell them, hey, I want to get a working space. I need a car. I need credit. I need all of this. Now you just put 60 grand in there. Now they're going to give you 50 to 60 grand line of credit, if not more. That's how the game works. And the average person don't fucking understand that. People don't understand like how white privilege works. White privilege works because you can move around and nobody gives a fuck. When I'm black in white spaces, people's antennas go up. Oh, is he here to steal? Is he here to do something? Like, what? What? What do I look like? If I steal, first of all, do you see all of this shit? Like, if I get in trouble, it's a big story. So I can't do dumb shit. I can, but you know, when you white, you do some dumb shit. Oh, he made a mistake. I'm black, you blew it. Sharon Moore, he blew it. Everybody go, oh, he fucked it up for everybody. No, he didn't. He fucked it up for himself in a big way. But you realize, like, you just threw everything away for some cheeks, some basic cheeks. And then it wouldn't have even been that bad, but you escalated the situation. Had you knocked her up, it wouldn't have been no thing. But you went to the girl's house and broke in, took a butter knife and said, the blood is on your hands, and went crazy. That was the escalation. Had you not done none of that shit, we would have been like, oh yeah, the cheeks get you sometimes. You know what I mean? But now you're at a risk to society. You're a mental case. So now not only did you lose your family, your kids, $12 million, your job, you got embarrassed. She gonna get paid. But now you seen as a mental case. Like, you ain't never gonna be able to coach for real again. Who gonna let you be around their kids? Coaching. You can't go around, oh, well, we building leaders. Nah, nigga. You not coaching my son. So people got to realize, man, like, there's privilege, man. Like, and I seen it firsthand because, again, I went to Catholic private school most of my life. I've been a successful athlete. I have privilege. All right. Like, I have privileges, and that's not lost on me. So if I was white, it wouldn't be lost on me that I have certain privileges. You know what I mean? You have to exercise those, right? In a way, right? You can combat fake news. Why aren't more white people combating the fake news about black people? You know what I mean? Like, this idea that no, like, crime happens in wealthy white communities. Look at all the racketeering going on in the state. Look at all the corruption. That is white collar crime. These people are in suits. These people are on the record criminals, backdoor deals, serving the people. But we want to highlight and focus on violent crime in poor, underserved, undereducated, underfunded communities. And we highlight that on the news. And like, even with my wife being a news anchor, like, when she first started, I was like, I don't fuck with this shit. Because this is not a true representation. Y'all don't go to the white communities and talk about all the white collar crime happening every single day. We're not talking about all the landlords scamming low income tenants every day. We're not talking about the inflation of gas prices, groceries prices every single day. And we're not putting a face and a name to that. We're not putting these CEOs, these politicians, their faces should be on blast to the public. These are the people doing this harm to you. It's not your neighbor. Your neighbor's trying to get it out the mud just like you. So you're going to give more benefit to a trillionaire, a billionaire, a multimillionaire than the person that's waking up, breaking their fucking neck to rub a couple pennies together, to try to send their kids to school, to try to put clothes on their kids' back, to try to feel like a decent human being without working 50, 60 hours. It's crazy. But it's a lack of humanity, and it comes down to people saying, well, people in Ohio are the bad. No, Ohio's bad as fuck. Ohio likes to sugarcoat things. Ohio's a very marketing, very like, oh, we're Midwestern nice. No. Yeah, you're nice. And then as soon as you leave, as soon as that person turns their back, they're talking hella shit about you. I'm the type of person, be racist to my face. Talk shit to my face. One, because I can handle it. Two, because I know you're already thinking it, because most of these people live in all white communities. Why would you live in a place like that? Purposefully. And then the conversation always is around, well, we want to help. No, the fuck you don't. You're going to send money to a foreign country before you go actually work in a food kitchen in the hilltops, or in Franklinton, or in Linden, or in near East Side. You know what I mean? Like you gonna drive around the hood because, oh, it's so violent in the. It is not even that violent. Of course, you're gonna hear about some wild shit. There's people getting shot in the suburbs every fucking day. It's domestic violence going on in the suburbs every day. It's police that work in the city that's abusing their children and kids in the 2-3 counties over that you might not hear about because they don't have no big news coverage. So people had again, fake news, yes, but it's also up to people and humans to disseminate the good news and the real news. You know what I mean? Fakeness. You good. You good. I'm lucky to have 5 figures. Right. It's a blessing for sure. I'm going to start selling grow equipment. It's going to be called Can I Grow It? There you go. And don't just sell it, right? Teach people how to use it. I think one of the biggest things that we're losing out on in the cannabis space right now is leveraging cannabis as an educational tool. You know what I mean? So don't just sell the grow tent. You should create a YouTube channel where you show people how to set the grow tent up, how to use the grow tent. They don't listen to us anyway. When we voted for cannabis, we voted for what was told to us. Now they want to change everything. Yeah, the unfortunate part is we passed it as a citizens initiated statute, and these politicians are a bunch of assholes. So that's why we should treat them like that. And if you go back to a couple of videos that I posted earlier in the week, we do a video where I show all of the politicians who yayed Ohio SB 22, and they were all Ohio Republican GOP. There were 7 nays, all Ohio Democrats. You can go on the Ohio channel and watch for yourself what these politicians have been saying about the cannabis community and people in this industry. And so again, we've held town halls. We've held legislation days at lobby days at the State House. How many of these politicians came and actually talked to their constituents? How many of these politicians actually came and listened? It was maybe 3 or 4. You know what I mean? So they don't care. But again, you have to make them care. How do you make them care? You blast them publicly, freedom of press. You write them, you email them, you call them, right? You email their assistants, their aides. You go to the State House, you schedule a meeting with them. You schedule a Zoom. If you can't make it down to the State House in Columbus, you schedule a Zoom call. You take them out to eat, take them for lunch, take them to dinner, take them out to coffee. These people work for you. So to say they don't listen, no, they do listen, but most people aren't talking to them. Voting something in is not the end. And that's the problem. People are politically lazy. Oh, I voted for it. No, you have to continue. It's a process, right? Legislation. It wasn't put in as a constitutional amendment. You know what I mean? Which, again, if they vote it, we're going to have to either it has to get vetoed. The next governor that comes in is going to have to change it, or we're going to have to do a constitutional amendment. I wish my hair. Right. And that's most people. Like most people, parents ain't got no money. They don't own no home. They don't own no businesses. A lot of these older people still working because they're struggling to make ends meet. But people aren't being honest. I think the problem is you have a lot of people being very dishonest, right? I could show my lifestyle, right? Especially on social media, right? A lot of people are known for showing the beautiful sides of social media, right? Me and my wife, we had a stillbirth. And you want to talk about living in the public eye while you go through one of the hardest moments of your life. Because my wife is a news anchor, but because my wife, people see my wife go from not being pregnant to being pregnant to then, expecting, and then that story comes out. So again, our lives fucking spiraled because one, we're in the public eye and that story's out, but also it's the reality of you losing a child, of you having to explain to your children, your living children, why their brother isn't coming home. And they have that emotional reaction, right? And so again, like for a minute, I haven't even been that active, visually on social media because my life is fucked up. And then I right after we lost, literally the day after we lost our son, I got a call from a lobbyist to do a press conference. I didn't even know there was a press conference. I just thought we was coming to talk. We were at Ohio State. Told my wife, like, hey, when is the chance you're gonna get to speak about cannabis legalization? So I come, didn't even get a chance to really wash up. My hair was longer, you know what I mean? I had a shirt on and I'm on camera and I'm like, damn, they probably think I'm a fucking bum. They probably think I'm homeless. You know what I mean? And I shared that out and people were like, oh my God, you couldn't have worn a suit, you couldn't have did better than that. But how many people knew I had just left Ohio State Hospital where me and my wife had just lost our son? Right? But that judgment, that criticism, like the backlash, the fucking all of that shit, and ain't nobody, I don't see half of them people, I don't see a tenth of those people showing up to the state house still to this day. I go to the state house every other week. So, a lot of people want to put the onus on other fucking people that are in the same or similar positions as you, maybe even worse, but they're showing the fuck up. And there's no excuses. Like a lot of people are making fucking excuses. You're a grown ass adult. Nobody in my family is racist. Also, my parents didn't do shit for me. Yeah, and that's the thing. Everybody has their stories, and that's why I think it's important for people to share their stories. You know what I mean? Like, most parents ain't know what the fuck they was doing. Most parents was getting fucked up. Like, so again, foundation. If they provided a home, as long as they weren't abusive, and even abuse, people need to go get treatment and therapy and realize that shit wasn't normal. It wasn't right. Especially if you were a child being abused by your parent emotionally, physically, psychologically, it's not right. A child doesn't know, right? Children are very vulnerable. As a parent, talking about, oh, you whipping your kids, go whip another grown ass man or another adult and see what happens to you. That's assault. Touching another human being physically in a way they don't want is assault. Me as a football player, I can't just hit anybody because people will go back into my lineage and be like, oh, he's a fucking trained athlete. He knows leverage. So if I hit somebody and they get fucked up, that fucks me up. So I have to move around this world just like a trained soldier knows, like, or a police officer or an MMA fighter. You can't fuck with me because if you fuck with me and that trigger goes off, I'm gonna fuck you up. Right. And so people have to understand that, people have triggers, but you got to go get that shit. I'm big into mental health. You know what I mean? Not the institutionalized way, but in more holistic and understanding emotional intelligence, understanding your strength, your power. Like everybody's situation different. Like my parents used to beat my ass. When I got old enough, my dad used to punch me in my shit right in the chest. Bow. Dude, nigga. My dad thought I was smoking one time. Boom, right in the fucking chest. Then my friend came to pick me up from school. Hey, Corey, Gerald be smoking? Corey like, I don't know. I ain't never seen him smoke because I ain't really smoke with my athletic friends. I would smoke with my nerd friends. You know what I mean? But as soon as I turned 18, I got my scholarship. Think I was coming home. Dad and stepmom got divorced. You know what I mean? I didn't really rock with my stepmom. She was cool until she got into her mode. All right. And then she'd buy me something nice, buy me some Jordans, do something nice. And it's like you realize that shit ain't healthy. You know what I mean? That is a very manipulative, narcissistic, abusive relationship. And so, you have to grow and learn and realize I'm grateful that the foundation my family gave me, my parents gave me, they were young though too, right? Teenage parents, my dad and my dad and my biological mom. I was raised with my stepmom. But again, then you have to look at their world, right? Were they abused as children, right? Were their parents abusive? Were their parents neglectful? Right. And there's a lot of things that go back into the 1970s, 1960s. What are Black families dealing with typically? Poverty, working class, drugs, alcohol, poor dieting, poor environmental circumstances. And so that tends to lead to some of that more aggressive, violent behavior and things like that, because there's a lack of emotional intelligence or communication skills, a lack of time, a lack of healthcare, money, resources to go get mental health treatment, to go get medical care, to take time off so you're not hyper stressed and overwhelmed and overstimulated all the time, right? So you have to look at that, right? You have to look at the generational curses of teenage pregnancies and shit like that. So in your life, right? And you have to vow to not make those same mistakes, but also learn and grow. And I think a lot of people hold on to that shit. A lot of people are afraid to express it and share it. And we feel like, oh, we're protecting ourselves or we're protecting our parents. And it's like, no, this is your life. Like, I'm not telling nobody that, like, my story is my story. How I recall my story is my story. Whether your parents want to get upset because you telling people the full story outside of just the rosy part, you got your ass beat at 4 or 5 years old. That's not healthy. Your parents couldn't think about this. I'm a parent of children. You can't get yourself emotionally regulated enough to be able to understand that this is a child. The child is probably tired or hungry, right? Like, put the child to bed. The child is fighting sleep, right? You're stressed. You're overwhelmed. The child been in the house all day. The child been on the tablet all day. Did you take the child for a walk? Did you take the child to the playground? Does the child eat fruits and vegetables? People got to realize it's way deeper than just, that. Are they poor? Like, what's the foundational situation like? Is the mom and dad in a healthy relationship? Grandma, grandpa around, aunts and uncles around, brother and sister? Like, there's way more to the issues. Does he know he's gone? My bad, guys. Two wings, same bird. I need some investors. They are out there. I'm white. Everybody want anybody. See, you better go out there. Don't be raising money on my platform. Get your own platform. We raising money over here for Ohio Cannabis Report. So if you want to donate, you could donate to me. I'm white, and every business venture I've ever tried failed. Most businesses do fail. I don't have family to borrow money from either. Not every white person has white privilege. That's not true. You got power. You just got to know how to use it. You got to leverage it. A lot of white people that I know that say they don't have white privilege don't know how to leverage that white privilege. So one of my good friends, Seth, dropped out of college, dropped out of Ohio University, ended up becoming one of the highest ranking sales members of Verizon Wireless with no degree, doing sales, selling over $100,000 plus of Verizon Wireless. One of the smartest dudes I know, one of the most creative dudes I know. Family. I've watched him since we moved to Columbus go from doing sales at Verizon to running a multi-state real estate operation with no degree, no family connections. His family ain't rich. I know his mom and dad. Know his family, good family, but they are definitely from Appalachia, Ohio. I met him after I tried out for the NFL. He had a brand new Jeep Wrangler Safari Edition. He was living in a 3,000 square foot downtown loft in downtown Zanesville. I was broke. I didn't have no money. I didn't know what the fuck I was about to do. I had a degree from Ohio University, but again, I wasn't able to work like that. Tried out for the NFL, got cut, was going to keep trying out for the NFL, but then I was like, fuck it. Ain't nobody like, I need to start working. Met this dude. I was doing sales for DirecTV. I was in Walmart, Sam's Club, and we'd do Best Buy. One day he walks into the Walmart. We got on the same khaki pants and some Vans or some shit. We started talking, chopped it up. The very next day, I'm in Heath, Ohio, 45 minutes away from Zanesville in Best Buy. In walks Seth with his Blue Jackets jersey on, a big Blue Jackets family or fan. Him and his girl was about to go to the game. He walks in. I'm like, yo, it's is I believe in spirituality. I believe in God. I believe in divine. He walk in, I'm like, it must be meant to be. I didn't have a bunch of friends in Zanesville, my wife, her family. So we started kicking it, right? So he ended up helping me get a job at Verizon. So I started working at Verizon. He ends up moving to Columbus to a bigger location, Easton. So then I ended up moving up here. He ends up I ended up quitting the job because once we moved to Columbus, I was like, there's way more opportunities. I could start training. So I started my sports performance training company, started coaching, stuff like that. Started doing more entrepreneurial stuff, got into private equity, got into private capital, and got more into real estate and investing. And then my wife got her job, and then we got pregnant, became a stay-at-home dad. But Seth, he got this job with this real estate firm, multi-state operating. They had properties here in Columbus, like big housing, like Gahanna, downtown. He was operating 400 West Rich, which is a big artist studio. He worked his way into that. He built that up to what it is today. He turned the other part into the studio, a studio for photography and events. White privilege, no money, no family backing, no degree, but he's smart and he knows how to move. And I've watched him, and now he's like a certified arms dealer or some shit. So you ain't gonna tell me, because I know I have a lot of white friends. Like, I mean, just look, this is my football team in 1999 in Bowie, Maryland. You know what I mean? Like, where's my football team? I got a photo of mine. This is my college football team. I know white people, poor, middle class, wealthy. I know how y'all get down and how y'all can get down. So saying you ain't got white privilege now, either you're not using it or you don't think you got it, but you got it. Tell politicians how to do their jobs. They come after you and ruin your life. You do. You have to tell them. A lot of people are afraid of the politicians. The suit and ties, the big words, the language. They work for you. They work for us. You have your agenda. You have what you need. Most likely, people need more money. People need housing, better roads, safer communities, right? More opportunities. The politicians determine that. The politicians disseminate the money, right? The tax money comes from federal government and from the people, and then the politicians disseminate that money. Tax abatements for the wealthy, right? Real estate developers, tax abatements for big business owners. That's where the money goes. And so that's your money. And then they hire you and then they pimp you out. And so become an entrepreneur. But it's the end of the show. Peace, love, blessings. Bye.